All right, going live, you're live. Okay, okay. Stream's current bitrate is okay. So, is anybody out there? Let me know in the chat if you're online, if you can hear. Hopefully you can hear. Any regular viewers will see that I've got a microphone set up. It's the same microphone I've always had, but it's just set up better, I think. Well, probably you can hear me better anyway. Let's just get the chat up here. It's easier for me to see what's going on. Keep an eye on the chat. How does it sound? Does it sound okay? Obviously, my voice sounds a bit weird at the best of times, but other than that, what is going on here then? Right. Stick around and find out. So, if you see pinned to the top of the chat is a link to the competition to win a copy of SonarWorks. At the end of the live stream, I'll make the draw. So anyone who's in here can jump over and enter. You just need to follow me on Instagram and drop a comment tagging someone, and then I'll do the draw at the end of this. How do I submit tracks? There's a link in the description of the video. So, yep, all good. But let's be honest, there's quite a few tracks, and maybe I won't get around to listening to it by the time we finish, but I'll do my best. I always do my best to listen to everything. That said, let's just jump into it then. Sapo Ray, sweet to know. So, yeah, we've got about, 26 tracks going on. So I'm going to skip through. We're not going to be able to listen to everything in its entirety, and that skipping through probably gets a bit more intense as we get on because we've got to fit the tracks in. Okay, so let's go.
Is it not so sweet to know?
So I'm just going to jump in and interject right here. This sounds really nice, but your kick is like, I'm just trying to check if it's anything that I've done, but no, it's not. Your kick is way too high. It's tuned at like 70 hertz or something. For house music, you want it to be tuned significantly lower. If I just bring up the spectrum analyzer here, let's go back. So the fundamental of your kick is hitting around here. You want it to be hitting somewhere around here. So it's only a matter of like 30 hertz or something difference, but it makes a big difference in the feel of the track. It's not going to sound right, but I will just walk from here straight. And then let's just put it onto complex and pitch it down by like 4 semitones. So it sounds pitched down. Doesn't sound audibly right, but the low end sounds more kind of where I would expect it to be. So that's something, that, I don't know, maybe you tuned your kick to that because that's the key of your track or something. Not always the best idea. There's kind of like a sweet spot where you want your kick to sit. And I don't know. I feel like it's kind of just letting the whole track down a bit. Just, I don't know, if you're ever unsure, just grab a 909 kick and just go for that.
Not so sweet to know.
Yeah, it's really a shame because I think the rest of the track is really good. It's just that kick is like letting it down. I also get a feeling like your bass could do with like a sub frequency as well. You might want to just double it with a sine wave, or you could add like a little bit of distortion or something to that sine wave, a little bit of saturation to bring out a few harmonics of it. But just so basically, if you get your kick tuned down to about somewhere in the range of where a G would sit, so like on this here, like somewhere between kind of like 45 and 55 hertz. It seems to be like the sweet spot, if you ask me. If you get that done, and then maybe you want to duplicate your bass, or maybe you've got in the synthesis, you could add a sub oscillator or something like that. That's just going to give it a bit more weight, and then that's actually going to balance out a lot of the more high frequency things, because you've got some quite nice high and mid frequency synths, and you've got this vocal which is a bit ethereal, a bit Balearic. So it's going to kind of shift the balance of the track, make it feel a bit more grounded and a bit more solid. And then at that point, I think it'll be really good. So, Dose, Sound of the People. I cannot push the mic volume up any louder. Unfortunately, this is as loud as it goes. Sorry about that. I'll do my best to remember to speak a bit louder.
This is the sound of the people. This is the end of the dark. Rise consciousness is rising. Balance my mind and my heart. I found a weapon in my word. Magic is flowing free.
as a compromise, I've just turned the volume down on the music, so hopefully it's a bit more comparable. Oh, Steve Kelly in the chat. Watch out now. Right, I mean, I think this is really well made. There's just two things that I think are kind of letting it down. I think, it could just honestly be a taste thing, but the vocals just really not doing it for me. It feels very splice-like. It doesn't feel like it feels like the mood of the vocal is different to the mood of the track. And it's mixed quite low. It's kind of like, it's not really adding drama or like giving me chills or something like that. It feels like it's just there because like maybe you need a vocal in the track. And I don't know if you necessarily do need a vocal in the track. The track's really cool. And I don't think the vocal's delivering what a vocal should deliver. It should be giving like personality, something to make the track memorable, that type of thing. Yeah, vocals are tricky. But if you're going to use them, I think you want them to be meaningful in some regard. Unknown Vibes, what's up, my bro? And then the other thing is this kind of the break. Like, it's a pretty long break, and the first third of it, not much is happening. I understand from a kind of technical perspective or a writing perspective why you've done this, but I think it's just a bit boring, to be honest. So you kind of like, that's cool, but then you want something to happen, and I don't think just these chords are enough. Especially that, it's like just playing the same chord twice in a row. And that's like, if you just think about the listener, especially for like Spotify or something, you know, you're giving them almost 30 seconds with nothing happening, and that's going to lose people's interest. That's going to get you a skip on Spotify. Unfortunately, people don't have the same what am I talking about? The same attention span as they once did, you know. But that's just the way it is. So everything's really nice in the track, really well done. I would just like look at that, maybe shortening the break, or if you can do something a bit more meaningful in the start there, and then but maybe you could just chop that bit out, to be honest, and then maybe look at the vocal. All right, MKE, Mike, gone too far. Hey, that's a really good idea, Stefan. Yeah, you could look at using the vocal here instead of just like over the beat, because it's quite a delicate vocal, and it just is really washed out in the beat. So that could be a place where it could stand out and be a bit more meaningful, deliver something a bit more. All right, adios, Steve. Take it easy, bro. Really nice, deep, kind of progressive vibe on this. Really liking that. Really nice balance on the mix. Like it could maybe be a bit punchier, but the mix is really nicely balanced. All the elements fit into the track really nicely as well. All right, this is really solid. Again, I think the part that's letting it down a little bit is the vocal. The vocal works. I think it is definitely adding something to the track, but it's more in. Well, there's two things. One is the recording of it, or the kind of the recording, the delivery is very sibilant. Like you can hear a lot of voice, like pops and clicks. The t on the too close is, I don't know, that kind of stuff just really annoys me, and it makes it hard for me to concentrate on the rest of the stuff. And maybe that's just me being me, but vocals are tricky. I said it before, but I always find it really difficult to move past that when I hear this vocal that's like not kind of mixed properly. So yeah, it's tough. You can try like dynamic EQ. You can try some compression, or even like editing the audio envelope on Ableton to like bring down some of those sibilants. Someone's suggesting de-esser. Yeah, but de-essers also can be like, they often don't get they don't solve the problems. If you've got something like Ozone, I think it has like a spectral de-essing. You could try that. You could try, there's like an Adobe podcast thing which fixes problems with vocals. You could try one of these kind of like online AI vocal mixing things. But anyway, there's that issue, and then also just kind of like the amount that you've used it. I think it could be used more sparingly to better effect, because it's quite again like a delicate vocal, and I think it adds some drama to the track. But when it's just over like looped, I think it loses some of its impact. So like having having it play here and here, like just that kind of phrase once each time in the break, I think it gives something to like build up to. It's not like this kind of like a house track that has this kind of like repetitive earworm kind of vocal that gets stuck in your head and really works with the groove. It's not that kind of vocal. So I think using it less is going to have a bigger impact. Yeah. Then again, like when it's playing over the beat, it's just lost a bit, you know? Right. I mean, obviously this is just a very small snippet of a track. So, I mean, I guess for the context I can imagine is that this comes before this, break as well. I mean, even in this short space, I think there's like, it's not holding my attention, to be honest. Like, it's like, it's kind of like the energy of the track is building down, right? Which is fine. You can totally do that. But then when you get to this part, there needs to be some significant payoff in terms of energy or emotion, or so like, yeah, I think it's not about like the production and the musicality and stuff of the track is cool. But it's like, it's not engaging enough to keep me listening. And, maybe that's just you're messing around with ideas here. I don't know. It's a very early stages work in progress. So, I mean, I guess the best advice I can give you is just to put yourself in the shoes of the listener. They want to be entertained, they want, so it's about like, it's not, the technical side of music production is not as important as like the songwriting side of it, and the so creating hooks, creating like a flow of energy through a track, keeping people engaged, giving them like creating tension and release. So yeah, I think when you're structuring your breaks and build-ups, people often write to me and say, hey, this is something I have trouble with. The key to it is about keeping the listener engaged and creating tension and release. All right. 11th of November 23. Catchy title. Off to a good start though. Feels a bit weird when you're taking this pad away in these drops. It feels a bit like disjointed. I would just keep the pad going. Or maybe just let it fade out a little bit. The songwriting and the mix sounds good, or the production and the mix sounds good. Like just before here, I would drop out some more of those drums just to create a little bit more anticipation. And then so just have this like ding 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 playing just by itself with a bit of delay and stuff, and then you've got this little fill, and you drop back into the beat. So just creating a little bit more emphasis on that drop. And take out this dun 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 dun, like little arpeggio thing in the background as well. So just having this, emphasizing this melody bit, and then the fill, and then back. Cool. That was like a nice break. It flowed well. It had some tension and it felt good when the drop comes back. Where's your bass line gone? I would put the bass line back in that section there. It feels a bit weird when the bass line comes out, as it's such an integral part of the track. I think it happened here as well or something. If you had some like low toms or something that could work, that was working with the low end as well, then it might work. But I kind of get what you're trying to do, but I don't think it's working. So I would keep the bass line in there. And again, in this place, I think I like what you're trying to do, trying to switch it up a bit. That was one comment that I was going to make, is that like there's no significant shifts in the like the arrangement. There's not like a section where things change dramatically. I think it's cool that you're trying to implement that here. I would keep the low end going, keep the bass in. You could maybe even take out that hat, and then halfway through you could bring the hat in, and then at this point, you know, take out that kick and then drop into the beat again. But it also might be a bit of a strange place in the arrangement to have that. So like you could probably look at doing that kind of thing in here or in here. But all in all, really nice stuff. My man, Unknown Vibes, just had his debut release recently with Mr. Steve Kelly on Celestial. Congrats for that. I would bring in this pad, maybe just filter it down or volume automate it down a little bit from the start, and it's going to help to transition into this section where you drop the bass in. with this vocal here. So I think you're introducing the vocal, and then you're also introducing this new melody. I think the vocal would be better like here. So you introduce the new melody, it gets to do its thing for a while, then you have the vocal to keep the interest happening.
I just can't get you off my mind.
So what I would do is exactly this. I'd have it play right here. I can't get you off my mind. And then... Okay, I didn't know there was going to be that little bit there. But what I was going to suggest is like I just can't get you off my mind. And then just before this drop here, have it repeat the off my mind bit and then drop back in. Good job, man. It's nice and refined. Yeah, I like it. Just guessing the vocal probably happened here. I was wrong. Good stuff. So I think that was all pretty good in there, but it kind of, if you think about like a graph of the energy here, it's like very flat, and then right at the end it ramps up super quickly, right? So I think you could build the tension a bit more gradually, and then at that point, so taking away some low end, adding some more reverb and delay, maybe delaying out these vocals a bit more, opening up the synths a bit more, and then at that point you don't need this like crazy dramatic snare roll, or maybe you do need that, or you do want that, but you're kind of building up to that a bit more. Yeah, okay, so Stefan is saying in the chat that he felt the snare roll was a little bit out of character. I agreed. I thought it was a bit over the top, but you could do something with that. Maybe having like a snare with some white noise, like maybe or like a synth with white noise that's like opening up, doing like what a snare would do, and then you open up the release of the white noise, and it's like something like that. Yeah, so this is really good. My friend Unknown Vibes has a tendency to get his tracks to about this point and then move on. So I think this one has like all the elements to be a cool track that you could release. I would suggest that you just keep working at it. Try and make this break a bit more interesting. yeah, I know we've got a session booked in together, so maybe try and get this a bit progressed by then, and we can try and figure out a way to get it over the line and get it done. I think you could have used this like this vocal in there. You could maybe use it here, so it kind of just bridges this part. This creates a bit more anticipation and bridges this part between this build up and this drop. I think this sounds really solid, man. I think the only bits I would suggest is like some, there could be some cool one shots or fills or something in here. Like it's quite long. It does build up the energy, but it would be nice to have some kind of ear candy, basically. That and the mix down is a bit subpar, to be honest. But other than that, it's sounding really solid. Like the writing and the production is really good. That was quite an unexpected change there.
Touch my heart and I will lead you. In my head it's shining, oh shining. I won't let myself stop burning, searching for.
Right, so we're about at the point where I would normally have like mixed my track in, and you've already given away, like, well, I don't know what's going to happen, but you've introduced the vocal, you've introduced the kind of melodic theme, and then now you're introducing this kind of melodic hook type thing. It seems like a lot. So I think you've got kind of all the elements that you need to make this work. It's just the arrangement and stuff is a bit random. It's not really, like I said, you've given away everything here, other than this little ARP that comes in at this point. You're not really giving me anything fresh. So I think it's an arrangement thing. And I think just use some references, listen to some tracks that in the style that you're going for, that you think are arranged really well, that keeps you really engaged, and then try and figure out how you can do what they're doing. With the piano, I think I guess it's an M1 piano, and in this case with that vocal, it sounds a bit cheesy, like I don't know if this represents the vibe that you're going for. Like, to me, when I heard that, I was like, that's really fucking cool. But so I think you could create some contrast between this kind of like heavy underground techno kind of sound by using a bit more saturation, maybe a bit more delay. Look at some tracks by Alan Fitzpatrick and Ronnie Spiteri. They both use like using my track as a layer. All right, well, we can talk about publishing and sampling and whatnot. But anyway, yeah, so with the piano, you should reference some tracks and see how you can make it a bit more maybe aggressive and a bit less cheesy sounding, because the vocal's quite piano rack. Okay, got you. Okay, that's a different. Sorry, I read that as I'm using your track as a layer, that you were like sampling one of my tracks in there. Forget what I just said. All good. Yeah, I mean, the rack you're using is the M1 piano from Korg. It's classic, but it also gives a certain feeling to a track. So I think adding some more saturation, a bit more delay, a bit more reverb, maybe sidechaining it a bit, I don't know, making it a bit more aggressive, pulling back the cutoff a bit, making it a bit darker, could be a cool contrast against these vocals. Some of like Parada Saraceni's older stuff could be a cool reference as well. I think you've got all the elements there to make that a really cool track that has a bit of like underground credibility as well and works really well on the dance floor. I think for these mid-range synths and stuff that you've got going on here, Ollie, more in your face, like main hat, like a 909 or something, maybe a bit shorter, this kind of quite washy open hat that you've got going on. It's not really, it doesn't have enough impact to keep the track driving it, so it kind of takes the energy down a bit. So I think like the vibe and everything is exactly there. I know I've heard enough of your tracks to kind of know, I guess, what you're trying to do, and I think the vibe and everything is right there where you want to be, but it's kind of like missing something to grab me, like, and it's basically, if you look at the frequency spectrum, there's a big hole here between kind of like 900 hertz and 4K, and it's basically exactly where a vocal or something would fit. It doesn't have to be a vocal, but that region of frequency is like basically what we as humans connect to. So the other thing is you're bringing in like this kind of like Rhodesy piano kind of thing, and then you've got these deep stabs in your bass line, and everything's really low MIDI. So that area of your track is getting very muddy, and there's nothing to kind of balance it out that's sitting around this area here. And I think so. Also when you tend to add vocals to your tracks, you tend to pitch them down, filter them out, so it kind of adds to that muddiness. So I think you want to look at ways that you can keep the vibe that you're going for, but fill in that space in the frequency spectrum with something that's engaging and keeps the listener hooked. And again, you can just do that by referencing, like literally grab an EQ and listen to some tracks that you like that with, like, what am I doing? With this, and just kind of skip through them and go. So I don't know, what's another, what one should we do here? Let's just listen to Dickies with this over the top. You see, he's got like stuff going on there. It's like the memorable stuff of the track is happening in that space. I know we're doubling it up, but anyway. So you've got, there is content there, but it's kind of like the top frequencies of the of other elements that are down here, you know. And then when you've got elements all down here that are playing over the top of each other, they're fighting for the same space. You can do it, Ollie. I know you can do it. Let's see an update to that and drop it on Discord. Okay, we're going to speed things up a little bit because we're at an hour in and we haven't got through half the tracks, that's for sure. You've got this kind of quite intent percussive motif, this I'm not sure if it's like clave or rim or something like that, but it's like really just, when I'm listening in my headphones, it's really just kind of sitting there. It's quite forward in the mix. It feels a bit disconnected from the rest of the beat, and it's not really got any movement on it. So I think just adding a bit of variation to that in terms of like velocity, maybe some filtering, pitch. I do in a lot of my videos. I show how I make small variations with like the pan randomization, velocity randomization, filter cutoff randomization, and just, yeah, you can just get a thing like that with a bit more movement, and then maybe bring it down a couple of dB because it's quite distracting. And some sidechain. Right, I think this is really really solid stuff. My concern with it is that room, but other than that, I think you could just take that out, to be honest. Or try some of the stuff that I was suggesting before. But it's not very dynamic in terms of the arrangement. Like, you've got cool elements and you bring them in and they're interesting, but you don't bring anything out, and you don't like bring anything like up and down. So like in the kind of break parts, most of the beats playing, the bass is playing, like, it's not very dynamic. And that's what, like, dynamics is what helps to keep an arrangement interesting. So, maybe that's like having a section where you bring out some of the hats, or so I think the track's really cool. Just reference some other tracks and see how they kind of play with the dynamics of bringing different elements in, bringing different elements out, how the high end and the low end is kind of tweaked throughout. Like, if I don't know if you agree or disagree, but to me, when I took out some of the high end and then brought it back in, took out some of the low end and then dropped it back in at that drop, it just felt a lot more engaging and a lot more dynamic. So I mean, that's a very rudimentary way to do it. You can do it by just bringing things in and out, or doing it a bit more with a bit more detail and a bit more automation on different elements. But I think you can do that to great effect with this track, and then have it kind of really level up. This is a little one. Needs to go to the gym a wee bit. Really solid groove. Everything's working super well together. Nice. Nice call and response from the elements. At this point, I feel like you could have dropped something in that just to lift it up a bit, like a tambourine or something. It's a great beat and stuff, but I'm still kind of waiting to hear a hook. That kind of tambourine was what I wanted to hear before. All right, so cool work in progress. I think if you worked the arrangement really, really hard, you could get away with like just having what you've got here, just arranged better and kind of using more automation, using some, working the transitions and stuff like that. It's a really, like, all of the elements work super well together, but without having something that's a bit more of a memorable hook, then you have to do a lot of work to kind of make the track, to give the listener what they want from a track, So it's in a good place, and you've got a lot of work ahead of you. Good luck. Downpour.
Breathe. Of the life I choose to lead. Will you be my recreation? Be my dedication. Will you be my recreation? And see me realizing passions. Breathe. Breathe. Will you be my recreation? Will you be my recreation? And breathe. Will you be my recreation? Be my dedication.
I keep wanting to hear this like acid thing be developed. Where it comes in here. Oh, here.
Will you be my recreation? Be my
I can't find it. Anyway, there's this little acid riff that's it's kind of in the background there, and I'm wanting it to be more in the front. I know when we talk that I'm often suggesting you take things out of your tracks, but in this case I think yeah, there it goes. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like having a section where that comes in and does a bit more of a full riff could be really interesting. Maybe like here before the breakdown or something, or like here after the break. I don't know, because I think the reason I'm wanting that is that the arrangement feels quite linear. Like,
Will you be my recreation?
like it's definitely cool. It definitely works, but it's, I think, just like the combination of like the AI type vocal and then the chords being the hook, the melodic hook, it kind of isn't wowing me, which I think is why I wanted to hear more of that acid hook to just give me something to grab onto. Anthony Hutley, Mirage Remix. I somehow deleted this from the project, so we're listening now. Anthony's online giving some solid comments in the chat, so thanks, Anthony. People from earlier that I commented about their breakdowns are listening. Like, you see here how he's taken out a bunch of stuff, but he's put in this like very low sub. So it kind of, it's like, again, about keeping that balance. Like, he's taking away a bunch of stuff, but he's giving a bunch of energy with the low, with that sub, right? And then again, you can also reference, like at the start here, where there's a lot of atmosphere and a lot of little details going on, but with not that many elements. So everything's just kind of moving and evolving and changing and working together to make the track more than the sum of its parts. See, like with that sub and stuff in here, while that sounds like a very chilled, deep break, in a club, that's going to be like actually really energetic, and I can imagine that getting the crowd really going. So a nice deep groover there from Mirage. I don't know, I find it very hard to give feedback to this dude because his stuff's always so bloody good. I don't know, let us know in the chat what feedback can we give to Mirage. I mean, it's probably, the only thing I could say is it's probably not something I would play, to be honest, because it's a bit chilled, but I mean, that's just only about my personal opinion of what I want to play in my DJ sets, so it's not really that constructive. But yeah, just really good. Well done. Nice to see Joyful Wave in the chat there. So this is giving me the feeling like it's a live jam and it's basically been recorded, because there's really there's cool elements in it, but it's very, very repetitive. So I mean, I think the elements that you've got are probably fine for making a track. You could maybe use a bit more variation in your drums. But just the way that it's all very loopy. I think, I think you could probably really do with referencing some tracks for the arrangement that you listen to some tracks that you want to emulate, or that you like the vibe of, basically, and then try to emulate their arrangement, because this is there's stuff happening, but it's not really, you're not kind of creating impact in any parts where something comes in or out, or in the breaks or drops or anything like that. All right. Sounds like you've got some drum loops or something that are going out of time. I'm not sure. I know the melody too. It's an old, I can't place the name of the track, but it's like an old trance record, right? Is it Bedrock Heaven Sent? I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. I think there's just it's kind of not working with the way that stuff's happening. Like, I think if you're gonna sample something like that or replay something like that, you want to present it in a way that sounds fresh and interesting and like different. This kind of yeah, it just I think there's something you could do there with it. It's like the idea could be utilized very well, but I think you just want to kind of reimagine it. And then like you need to tidy up the warping and stuff, because it sounds like chaos when Cafe Del Mar Energy 53. Okay. Yeah, it just sounds like chaotic with the stuff going out of time and that. Feel like, as always, Randall, your stuff is like really amazingly well produced and written, but I feel like this vocal almost doesn't. I think with the intensity of the mix, this vocal feels like there's not space for it. It's like a big deep voice, and it's it just feels a bit crowded, I would say. It has a really unutilized technique. You might try pitching the vocal up. I don't know, give it a go. Or like using something like Little Altar Boy or something to see if you can, or if you have, what's it called, Melodyne, you can bring it up. And do you think just space? I don't know. I think the vocal's cool. It adds to the story, like the I can't remember exactly what he's saying. He's saying something about disco.
Chosen disco.
Yeah, I've chosen disco. It's cool. I think it just feels a bit like I don't know, kind of I don't know, it's a weird analogy that came to my head, but like the person who's singing it is kind of like trying to push through the crowd, and you're like going, oh. Yeah, I don't know, it feels a bit crowded for it. Or alternatively, you could just try making a bit more space in the mix when the vocal's going to happen. Also, something that I've mentioned to a few other people is like the idea of having dynamics in the arrangement. You've got lots of details and like really cool things happening frequently throughout the track, but it's also not like it's very samey. You know, the track feels like a backing track for something, for a vocal. Yeah, so I don't know. I think there could be some benefit to be gained by revisiting the arrangement, but like I said, like super well produced and mixed, and I wish I could hear as much detail in some of my tracks. And there's just way too much reverb on some of these drums. It may be that they're from a sample pack or something and they had reverb on it, and then you put more reverb on that, or it could just be a bit heavy-handed on the reverb. When you're mixing reverb into your drums and stuff, I always use it on a bus. But whether you're using it on a bus or putting it onto like the drum tracks or individual tracks, individual drum sounds, what I think is a great tip that I learned is to kind of turn it up until you can hear it and then turn it back a bit. And that usually gets you into the kind of ballpark where it's a bit more cerebral rather than in your face. And then also you have the opportunity to add a lot of reverb onto like a single hit or something, which gives it a lot of atmosphere. Yeah, I mean, this whole track is drowning in reverb, there's two things that can kind of make a track sound like there's some really cool ideas in this, but there's two things that can take like a cool track and make it sound quite amateur, and one is like not having any reverb and having everything too dry, and the other is having way too much. And it just kind of like I think the right amount of reverb is the amount that people don't notice. Yeah. But also there was a couple of things with the sound selection. So I think you've done some really cool, interesting melodies. You've got this cool vocal. There were just like a couple of little bits where I was like, that. It feels like you're going for this kind of Afro house, organic house vibe, and there were a couple of sounds in there that just felt out of place. Yeah, so I would just do some referencing on the sound selection and try and rein in that reverb a bit. Sounds like there's reverb on the whole track. Yeah, could be. Never really advised. I don't know. I don't do that when I'm mixing and mastering, or when I'm mastering or doing my own tracks. This beat sounds a bit dry. I think you could do with some shakers or something in there, just to fill in some space. You know, even if, you know, I don't know where you're at in terms of writing, but just put a top loop in there, EQ out some of the highs, or like this, and then like this, and then just mix it in really, really lightly in the back, just to fill out some of that space.
Push their own agenda.
It sounds quite, I don't know if you're an English speaker or not, but just to me it sounds quite weird having someone repeating gender. I know it's part of the end of the phrase push your own agenda, but it just kind of sounds weird. I would probably, if I was going to do that, I would probably use the push or something like that has a bit more implicit energy, or yeah. Yeah. I think the drums definitely could use some work, could be a bit more engaging. The kick is very kick heavy, very kick forward, and like very subby. Yeah, I think there's something there for sure. The break didn't really create that tension and release, but I think there's opportunity there to do it with the elements that you've got, for sure. Jordan, I reckon English speakers make the same mistakes with Spanish and other language vocals. Of course they do. Oh, I mean, yeah, 100%, man. 100%. I've got some cool Spanish vocals that I've found, but I'm very tentative to put them in a track because there's a lot of Spanish speakers in the world, and yeah. Really nice sound selection, sound design. I think with that really kind of, it's kind of like a cross between a pad and a lead. Let's just say like pad. I think you could have brought that in at the drop, kind of held it for a bit, used some pitch bend and maybe like faded it out, had it decay on a bit, but then like got rid of it. And then I think that's going to like set back into the groove, but also give you the opportunity and the space to introduce something new. This is really solid, man. Yeah, really good stuff. I think it feels like the mix could be a bit tighter. You've got a lot of like really high fidelity, or like a lot of elements that are taking up quite a lot of space. So there might be a bit of opportunity to trim a little bit of space and fit everything in and make it sound a little bit cleaner, maybe a little bit more stereo. No, the stereo. What is it that's making me think it's narrow? No, it's not. It's not narrow. That was wrong. Yeah, I think it's really good, man. I think you could keep kind of working it a little bit. I think you can probably squeeze a little bit more juice out of the arrangement. But it's really good. And you might want to think about extending the outro a little bit just for kind of DJ perspective. But really nice sound design, especially. Ion John, working this feel. Right, man. Really cool. I don't know if you notice it, but you've got the warp was turned off. This dude was just commenting about the tempo, so I checked the warp. The warp should be turned off for all the tracks, mate. You've definitely got a sound. I know that you're trying to develop your sound, but like I can always recognize your tracks when you send them in, which could be a good thing or could be a bad thing if they, depending on whether they sound like you want them to sound. But I think you've done a good job of doing a track in the style that you want to do. From the conversations we've had, I think something that could probably get you a bit closer to where you want to be is looking at the drum sounds you're using a lot of like very long hats, using maybe like tighter drums, and then contrasting that with some longer drums, because it sounds like it kind of gives everything quite a crowded feel. And I think using the vocal chops, the long drums, and the combination of melodies and bass lines that you do, it kind of makes the tracks feel a little bit crowded. So I think what we could do on like our next session that we have together is try and figure out a little bit how we can get some space into the tracks, because I think the space in tracks is where a lot of the groove lies, and a lot of the kind of, I think it's really important to have elements, to let elements breathe, I think. Yeah, there's kind of like layers and layers of open hats coming in and out. So I think if we can figure out a way to get some of the drums a little bit tighter and punchier, then I think it could really help to get things sounding a little bit cleaner. That bass sounds really nice, Luca. I'm assuming this is Luca's track. It sounds like Luca. really solid, man. This is super good. Everything kind of sounds, yeah, really like it's mixed really well. The sounds sit really well in the frequency spectrum. Everything kind of sounds like it should be there. There's nothing that sticks out that's like sounds weird or something like that. The only thing is like there's always like hats or pads or something going in that high end quite intently, which makes it a little bit tiring. And it may be because I've been listening to tracks quite intently for the past 2 hours, but yeah, I don't know. Having like a little break, again, putting some kind of dynamics in the arrangement could help. But other than that, it's just really good, man. Well done.
Feel the rhythm of your heartbeat. Feel the rhythm of your heartbeat. You make me feel so good. Feel the rhythm of your heartbeat. You make me feel so good. Feel the rhythm of your heartbeat. You make me feel so good. Feel the rhythm of your heartbeat.
Really solid stuff, Joe. I mean, I think you've got a good one here, for sure. I think the only thing from my perspective is like you could add a little bit more volume on the hats. Sick, Luca, that's awesome. Congratulations, BBC. Amazing. Okay, sorry, Joe. Yeah, I think literally just a little. Don't do it with EQ. Do it with volume. But
Feel the rhythm of your heartbeat.
I think it just could make it a little bit more punchy if some of the hats are a little bit louder. But really solid, man. to the people who submitted, the couple of guys that submitted tracks while we've been going, they're not showing up in this folder, so I might have to stop live and restart it again. So we'll just go to the end of these tracks and then do that. I think like their bass line is cool, and it's obviously kind of like the main part of the track, but it's really like just in the front, in your face the whole time. I think you can probably work with it a bit more, like, you know, maybe let's grab a filter and like, you know, it's just kind of there the whole time. So I think if you're going to have such a strong element be such a big focus of the track, you kind of need to do something with it. And because it's just there so intently, it kind of makes the track sound pretty outdated in terms of the production. Like it kind of, I think there was a lot of stuff like this was really, that kind of had the same kind of bassline aesthetic, was really big around like 2008 to 2013 kind of thing. Maybe not even 2013, maybe like 2005 to 2010. So it kind of sounds a bit retro, but not in necessarily a good way. Retro in terms of the production. So yeah, I think just, again, work more dynamics into the arrangement, work your elements, make sure that there's ebbs and flows in the energy, and that there's things kind of switching up and keeping it exciting. This kick sounds a bit weird to me, but we'll see. Yeah, I think you want a bit of a dip around 200 hertz on your kick, just to take out some of that boxiness. And that's going to leave more space for your bass line as well. It also sounds like your open hat has been too high passed too much. I always leave a bit more body, especially in like a big open hat like that, and then just have it a little bit quieter, and it just is going to sound more natural, take up more space, and feel a bit more balanced, and less tiring on the ears. Yeah, I can literally see it in the EQ curve there.
A beautiful dreamer. A beautiful dreamer. A beautiful dreamer. A beautiful.
Yeah, really nice. I mean, it's certainly got a cool vibe. I think everything's there. There's just like a few little mixing bits and pieces to do, and yeah, but it's really solid stuff, man. Okay. The low end on this sounds really muddy. Like you've got a big kick, a big bass line, you're doing like really frequent bass notes, but there's no space between them. So it just kind of like feels really crowded in the low mids. There's not very much variation in your percussion and stuff. I mean, it sounds like you've got some cool details and stuff in your arrangement, and like, but it just the drums are lacking details, and there's just too much going on in that low end. You know, if you're going to use a bass line like this, I mean, I think I could see it there. Was it? No. Anyway, I think you should use a kick that's a little bit shorter, a little bit more clicky, or bass notes that are a bit shorter. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's cool. It looks like it sounds like you've focused on, like, probably referenced some other tracks and focused on where they're putting in details, but then maybe missed some other places where you could add detail. Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely something here. You could just revisit it a bit, try and refine the drums a little bit, get some reference tracks in, see what they're doing in the drums, and I mean, I've done this myself on lots of tracks. It's just gone, okay, cool. There's something here, but I've got to rewrite the drums, or I've got to rewrite the bass line or something like that. And you can really, because you've got the kind of personality of the track there. I think you just want to make the foundation a little bit stronger. Sprinner, you just missed it, bro. But I'll post the video once after so that you can rewatch it. This is cool. I think, yeah, there's a start of an idea there. It kind of, I mean, it feels, again, like I've kind of commented on some previous tracks, like you've got this one idea there being this sequence riff kind of thing, but it's, I mean, it's kind of just that. You've got like drums and stuff happening, and you're bringing in and out some hats and whatnot, but there's like one hook, okay? There's one thing happening, and I'm going to give an example, but even my example has more than just the one thing, okay? So, but like if you think about tracks that have this just one, okay, so you've got the vocal in there as well, but it's more like a texture. It's not really like a hook, I would say. You know, a track like Bookashade and Mandy, Body Language, has got a riff like this, but that riff is like more detailed. It was also very iconic and different when it came out. It's being worked a bit more. There's more space for it to just exist. The things that are around it are really allowing it to be the focus, not taking away from it. But it also, there are other melodic elements in that track that also propel the track forward and keep the listener interested. So I think, you know, maybe Body Language is a good reference for a track like that. How do you make the track all about that riff while still keeping it interesting and fresh? But yeah. All right, I'm going to have to close live. Actually, what I'm going to do is, okay, I'm going to close live, reopen it, and while we're doing that, I'll do this draw for giving away a copy of SonarWorks. One of the guys who sent a track late asked if it was because of the sending on a WeTransfer. No, it's not. It's I don't know, sometimes Ableton just doesn't update with new tracks, so when I go to current project it doesn't show me your track in there, but it's in that folder. So let's just save this, we'll close it, close it, Yeah, okay, so there's something going on with live. Cool stuff. Nice one, Ableton. Let's hope that Ableton 12 will be more reliable. More reliable for me. Okay, so we've got this giveaway happening. No. Okay, so SonarWorks. So this is the link to the post here. It's going to scan it and find everyone that's entered. 151 entries. Find a winner. Congratulations. What the fuck? Oh my god. How embarrassing. Okay. Let's get these tracks playing. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, this is really annoying. It's nothing to do with your track or you submitting it wrong, dude. It's nothing. I've got the track. It's literally in the folder here, and this one from grants, but okay, live is updating this little wheel here, so hopefully it will find those tracks in a second. It is too late. I'm about to get out of here. I'm just got to sort this out. Create a free account. Did we find the tracks yet, Ableton? No. Sorry about this, guys. Trying to do 3 things at once as well, so that's always good and entertaining for everyone. Okay, find the post, copy the link. I thought I was so smart, had that all set up and ready to go. Has it found this tracks yet? No. Okay, we're back into the post link. Okay. Find winners. What the fuck? Oh my god. Okay. Maybe I should have looked into that better. Okay, there's no winner today. We're going to do it another time. Let's check out these tracks. I'll do that. I don't know. I'll jump on a live tomorrow or something and do it. Sorry about that. This is really good, man. You should get this to some labels because I'm sure you can get it signed, to be honest. The vocal's nice, it fits well on the track. The only thing I'm thinking is like the shakers are there the whole time and they don't go away at all, except in these parts where you're filtering them down. So I think you could change it up a little bit in the arrangement rather than just, because like the shakers sound really nice. They're kind of like detailed and layered, but not too chaotic. But I think you could have some sections where you switch it up a little bit. That's pretty much the only thing that I think could use work on the track. It sounds really good, man. And we've got how do I say that? Spokage? Oh. Alright, so I think for the amount of compression you've got on this, like it's a bit over compressed for it's adding distortion to your track, basically, is what I'm trying to say. It it feels a bit overdone. If you're gonna, you have to be very strategic if you're going to try and get your track that loud. And then in this section, your kick's really loud and your other elements are quite low. So Alright, so it's not mixed yet. Yeah, it's cool, man. I think there's some really nice sound design and stuff in there. It's kind of like a lot of the feedback that I want to give you is that it's about the kind of how saturated it is and how distorted it is, because you said it's not mixed, but you've put a limiter on there, smashed it really hard, and it has affected the sound a lot, so it's quite hard to tell what is supposed to be sounding really saturated and what is as a result of overcompression or the intense limiting. Yeah, I don't know. It's cool. It's also not really in a style that I'm super familiar with. But from what I can tell, it sounds pretty solid in terms of like the arrangement and that kind of thing. I watched a few of your Afro House track tutorials and have my own to submit. SAYF safe. We're done, mate. Yeah. So I think what you've got is solid. Just take it easy on the on the limiting, and I think I always find it very difficult to give feedback on specific elements and stuff of a track when there's too much limiting, because it kind of just pushes everything together and makes everything sound saturated. But all right, thanks for everything, guys, and thanks for those who tuned in. Thanks to everyone who submitted tracks, and we will do it again soon. I'm going to jump on a live tomorrow afternoon and do that draw. Unfortunately, that wasn't possible right now. I need to kind of do my research a bit better and find a place that will do that for me. All right, have a great Sunday, and we'll talk to you all soon. Peace.